So with the Atlanta Hawks on a 5-game winning streak, I decided it is the perfect time to propose the question, can the Atlanta Hawks make a playoff run? Can they do it? Personally, I'm going to give you my answer at the end of the video. I'm not really going to spoil it as of right now. But of course, before I get right into this video, make sure to like, subscribe, turn the notification bell. You guys help me out a little bit. And without further ado, let's get right into this video. Now, of course, starting with a little bit of background information, the Atlanta Hawks have won 5 straight games. And they look bound for the playoffs and even the play-in. Now, of course, they currently sit at the 8th seed with a sort of mediocre, yet still pretty good 41-37 record. Now, getting into some of the stats this season, the Atlanta Hawks are currently 6th in scoring offense in the NBA. They are struggling in defense, actually 22nd in that category. However, throughout the last 5 games, the Hawks have been astounding on offense. It's been really, really good. 128.4 points per game during the 5-game winning streak. Now, of course, getting into the next portion, I'm going to go to 3 impact players, guys that I think are going to have a huge impact on how far we can go if we make the playoffs and us going to the playoffs in the first place. Now, of course, the first guy is pretty obvious. You have Trae Young. He's averaging 31 and almost 12 throughout the last 5 games, which is absolutely ridiculous. You cannot say enough about this guy, but his stats and production tell you pretty much all you need to know. He's putting up all NBA first team, potentially NBA MVP numbers, and without a doubt, he's going to be the main guy the Atlanta Hawks need to take things further and further into the playoffs, and maybe even further in the playoffs as these games go along. Now, of course, going to our second guy, we have Bogdan Bogdanovic. Bogdanovic has been great off the bench, averaging 17, 3 and 3 off the bench this season. He's been a very good 3-point shooter in the second part of the season. Of course, struggled with the first part of the season. First part of the year, couldn't really find an established role along with his injuries. However, as the All-Star break has kind of gone past us, I feel like Bogdanovic has definitely gotten better over the last couple of games and over the last couple of weeks. He's emerged as the Atlanta Hawks' main weapon off the bench, and even last year, he was a prime contributor in the playoffs, putting up 9 15-plus point games during the playoffs last season. I think he continued to be a huge part of the Atlanta Hawks in the playoffs this year. Now, of course, third and final main contributor and player, we have Clint Capella. Now, Clint Capella not quite having the season he had last year. He has 10 points and 12 rebounds a game this season. However, he's still been very, very effective for this Atlanta Hawks squad. They are 38-32 when he's on the floor, and he has a huge defensive impact while he's there. I think him and Micah Cannon can be really, really good as a duo on the defensive side of the ball. Every time I see Cannon, it reminds me a lot of Bam Adebayo, an NBA All-Star, somebody who averages 20 and 10 on a pretty much yearly basis. I definitely think Big O can be one of those guys. However, what we have right now is great on the defensive side of the floor, especially with players like John Collins being out with a lot of injuries. I personally think that Big O, even along with Clint Capella, they can both have a huge impact on the defensive side of the ball for the Atlanta Hawks. Now, of course, going to a little bit of a summary. Do I think the Atlanta Hawks can make the playoffs? Do I think they can make a good run? That answer is yes. Now, do I think it's likely? Not quite, but I do think it's definitely possible. Now, of course, the Hawks have 4 games left in the season. 2 of them are against playoff-level teams in the Miami Heat, who are currently, as of the recording of this video, the 1 seed in the East, but how crazy the East is at this point, that could change in a matter of days. So don't take that too much in consideration. However, we know the Miami Heat are a great team. They have 50 wins on the season. And, of course, the next team are the Toronto Raptors. They sit at the 6th seed as this video is being recorded. So the Atlanta Hawks definitely have some competition on their hands these last 4 games. Now, in the scenario that the Hawks win these last 4 games, they will sit at a 45-37 record and could likely make the playoffs at this record. Now, some scenario, if the Atlanta Hawks somehow make a 7 seed or below, somewhere in the play-in, we'll have to be in a play-in tournament, and we're going to have to at least win 1 more play-in game in order to make it to the playoffs. Now, of course, in the next scenario, if the Atlanta Hawks get in the top 6 seeds, which in my opinion is a little bit unlikely, but it's definitely possible, then we won't have to do anything in the play-in. All we would simply have to do is go into the playoffs and not worry about that. And trust me, as an Atlanta Hawks fan myself, I would much rather just make the playoffs than go through a play-in tournament. Personally, for me, I'm not a big fan of the play-in tournament at all. I don't like it. It hasn't been a great idea for me. It hasn't been a great experience in my personal years of watching the NBA. However, that's just what it is right now. That's what we're going to have to deal with. However, if we make a 6 seed, then we won't have to deal with that. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, of course, I'm going to give you some of my predictions where I think the Hawks will finish, their ceiling and their floor when going to the playoffs. Now, personally, I think we're going to finish in the 7th seed. I don't think we're quite going to make it up to the 6th seed. I think the Toronto Raptors are really good. It's just such low chances. I mean, the Raptors will have to lose a lot of games. The Cavs will have to lose lose a lot of games. And I know both of those teams have been in relative slumps lately, but I just don't see it happening. The ceiling for this team, I think we can go as far as the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, while our seeding is not all that impressive, the talent on our team is still there. John Collins could be coming back pretty soon. Trae Young is one of the most, if not the best, point guard in the league. I definitely think the talent is there. However, the floor for this team is a first-round exit, and in my opinion, that's the most likely scenario. This year just hasn't quite been a great season. It hasn't been all what we've anticipated to be, especially after the playoff run last year. However, I definitely feel like the Hawks can make it. I feel like they can definitely get further and further into the playoffs as we go along in the next couple games. We'll just have to wait and see, but that's my personal take on it. But of course, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. TikTok, Spotify, Instagrams, all those links are going to be in the description. But of course, whether you follow those or not, I wish you nothing but the best. I wish you stay loved and stay blessed. And without further ado, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching.